So my daughter and I purchased Houlihan's towards the end of 2012, but it took a little while. It didn't settle until Valentine's Day 2013. So we had a big night, Valentine's night. We were packed. And in the process of all this, I felt my husband conditioning, I suppose, my granddaughter to ensure she loved Poppy. Nan's not good. In which this all came out at a camping trip that we went to out at Burham Heads. The five of us, my daughter and her husband, and my husband and I and my granddaughter, we all went out camping. And I had a few things to do at home, so I said I'd meet you out there. And when I got there, my granddaughter didn't want me to be there at all. She said, "No, Nan, we don't want you here, you go home." So I just left. I thought, this is not wrong. And then I said to my husband the next day when they all got home that, this is not right. We need to sort this out. She can stay with the mother for a little bit. So she did. Anyway, Hooli settled. I was working still 4 days a week at the university. I was working almost every night at Hooli's after work and all weekend. I was trying to mow the lawns and everything at home and washing and ironing and everything. And I've always had a problem in my life menstruating, very heavy. I always have put it down to what my stepfather did to me when I was a very young child. And at this stage in my time, I was hemorrhaging every 2 weeks for 2 weeks. My iron levels were down. So I didn't want the intimacy when my husband came home. And out of all the people, all the men that I knew in my life, I thought he would be the most patient with it. But he wasn't. He was distancing himself from me. He said that he still had wants and needs, and I no longer fulfilled those wants and needs in him. So he started a relationship with a lady away at the mine and kept it a big secret. But I knew he was going to someone else. And every time he come home, he would just be blind out of his mind, and he was just eating and drinking himself to death. So I finally sat him down and said, "Look, you're not happy, I'm not happy. I think we should call it quits." And he said, "Okay, I said, "This is what we have, this is what we owe. You take this, I'll take that." And he said, "Yep, get it all written up and I'll sign it." I went, "Okay then." The other issue was the super. He said, "No, you keep your super, I keep mine." And I said, "Righto then, I'm not a greedy person." So I lived in the house with him for 3 months. It took 3 months for me to find something else where I wanted to live and for it to all settle down. And it all settled on the one day. I kept one of the units that we had. He kept one. He kept the house that we lived in and paid me out, and I bought a house in Scarness. So everything settled all on the one day. And on the day that he was next due to come home from the mine, because I knew it was going to be a shock to him to walk into the house and me not be there, and some of the furniture was gone and that, so I felt for him. So when I knew he was going to be home, I drove out there to the house not long after he got there, and he was feeling a bit down. He said it was a bit of a shock to walk in and, you're not there and things. And anyway, we just left it at that. I was there for him. I actually fixed all his finances because he had no idea about finances or money or anything, because he'd never done anything. So I sorted everything out for him before I left to make sure that all his bills would just run along and get paid out of his account. And I set him up. I did the right thing for him, but he deserved to have the right thing done for him. Also, just something I forgot about there was when I said that, you know, he was going back to somebody at the mines. While we were still married, actually, we hadn't decided to separate, but he was on the mission because he will always go to another woman. He won't live by himself. I know that. And he said to me, because I was working on the weekend at Hoolies, he said, I've got a friend coming down from the mine. She's looking around to buy something in Hervey Bay. She wants to settle in Hervey Bay. He said, I'm going to be taking her for a drive around. I went, oh yeah, you know, righto. That's all good. But this was the person he was going back to the mine with. And he brought her home to our home, into our bed, because I noticed the bed not made the way I normally would make it on this particular day. So deep down, I knew something was happening. So when everything was settled and my husband was coming over to my ex-husband then was coming over to my place to pick up my granddaughter or my granddaughter's dog or something from my place, I don't know what it was. And but the night before that, he had, the day I moved out and the next weekend, this woman was down, she was at his place and they were having a barbecue with my daughter and her brother and a couple other people, and he's got his hand underneath the table and they're holding hands, hiding it from everybody. But they told me what was going on. So when he came to pick up the dog, I said, you don't need to keep this a secret anymore. You've got what you wanted. You got half of everything in which you shouldn't have had it because he defaulted on the marriage. Even though it was my final decision to separate, really, he was going to someone else. So that was the end of... Just to finish off that now with my ex-husband, he did marry the woman. They are both very happy. Him and I don't speak. We have spoken a little bit over the years here and there if something has gone wrong, like when his mother passed away and different things. We do talk now. He is very happy. He deserves to be happy. His wife is very happy. They are both very good to my girls, to my daughter and to my granddaughter, and that is all I can ask for. I am very grateful that she has accepted them and that he is still there for the girls, because he's really the only real father that my daughter ever really knew, and he's the only grandfather that my granddaughter has ever known. And I'm pleased that that relationship between the two girls and him and his wife is all good and positive, and I'm very grateful for that.